I'm just going to take it live and we're going to go for it.
Test, test. Test, test, test.
Yeah.
Test, test, test.
Alrighty, here we go.
Now we're talking.
Let's mute that. All right, everybody. Hey, for those who are already watching live, welcome. This is kind of like an impromptu PhotoJoseph's photo moment. It is a Saturday morning, definitely not when we normally go live. I'm at ImageONE Camera in Riverside, California. We're going to be talking about GH5 version 2 update today. Going to go through, well, it depends on how it works out with people coming in. I don't really know if people are going to show up to start time or if people are just going to filter in and out, but we're going to just talk about what's new in the camera, show off some new features. If you have tuned in live already and you're just waiting for exciting things to start, just stick the video in the corner, get back on with your life, and just keep your ears open, and as we get started, you'll start to hear the good stuff rolling in. So that's kind of how we're going to do it today. Sound good to you?
Yep.
Yeah, the audience says good. Sweet. So that is set up. All right, let me... Burns, hey Burns Tech, look at that. Good to see you here, buddy. I'm not gonna be able to monitor the chat too much here, but I will stick this in a corner so I can take a look at it as well. Make sure that I've got my, yeah, stats are all looking good. Okay, Jake, greetings to you as well. My regulars who are watching, they're like, what? He's live on a Saturday? What's that all about? That's always good. Davey Cortez from Corona, excellent. All right, let's see. We can get everything kind of set up. My wife's birthday today, so as soon as I'm done here, I gotta go home. Gotta go home. Yeah, it's funny. I talked to my wife this morning. First, I just woke up, and she had just woken up, and we video chatted, like, just, you know, hi, good morning. Totally forgot to say happy birthday, and like later on, I go, wait a minute. Oh, jeez. Bravo. So if you're watching, honey, happy birthday. Love you. I got you a present, though. I didn't forget. I promise. That we're covered there. Okay. Thomas, good readings to you as well. Paul, look at that. I love it. All kinds of people rolling in. This is my regulars watching. This is great. Hey, you guys, yeah, if it sounds good, it should be sounding good. I was having audio issues. I couldn't figure it out because, you know, I've never used the GH5 before. I had plugged the microphone into the headphone jack. Don't do that. It doesn't work very well. Definitely don't do that. Okay, let's see here. Where is, Janice is saying happy birthday to my wife. Thank you very much. I'm going to pull up a list of features so I have everything to talk about. Now, have you already upgraded your camera?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We have, and just so you know as well, if anybody comes in and needs the upgrade, I know that Shadi's got them downstairs too, but I have 2 memory cards with the firmware update on it. That is mine. Yeah, where are you going with that? I've got 2 memory cards with the update, so if anybody needs to update their camera, I've got cards here. They need a full battery. That's for, even though the update only takes a matter of seconds, it needs a full battery. So the battery thing here, by the way, is here. This is what I was talking. Mark, here, Mark. This is what I was talking about. Let me actually back up that battery. You'll have to hit anything to wake it up, but as long as that's 1 bar above, we're good. John Morby saying happy birthday to the lovely lady as well. Thank you. All right. So if you're wondering what the new features are, if you're watching this and you just haven't, like, what? There was a GH5 version 2 update? Go to my website, PhotoJoseph.com, and scroll down, looks like about 4 entries. You're going to see a blog post from the announcement that's titled Lumix GH5 Firmware 2 Update Announced. And in there is the entire press release that has all the details listed. I completely reformatted it and cleaned it up so it's really easy to read because the press release was kind of, you know, it's kind of janky. Anyway, so we've got a really nice clean view of it there. And I'm just going to be running through these lists and talking about what is new and showing the things that can be shown. Not everything can be demoed, but the ones that can, we're going to look at. So, I don't know. What do you think? Should we just, what do you think, Mark? Should we just kind of start with him and go through what's there? And yeah. It's not going to be, were you expecting people to all come at one time, or was it more like an open house?
No, we have people viewing, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. We got people watching live, yep, for sure. Okay.
It was mainly for the guys that are viewing live, and then,
cool.
You know, we're focusing on GH5, making sure everybody gets that firmware update.
Absolutely.
Going to show us how to use it.
That we're going to do. Okay, where's the rest of my stuff? Here we go. The very first thing that's on the list is the tethering, and so we may as well show that because that is definitely cool to see. If I can find the right cable. Here it is. So tethering with its own app is one of the hot new features. Great, not in there. That's loud. is one of the hot new features of the camera, the ability to shoot straight into your computer. And the implementation that Panasonic has done is instead of having to write software for every app out there, Lightroom, Capture One, and so on, they decided to write their own app. So and it's a free app, of course, that you can download for both Mac or Windows, and that'll allow you to do the tethering. And then the tethering is really fast from there. It pulls it into a folder. You just set up a watch folder, and then whatever, if you're using Lightroom or ImageONE or whatever, any app that has the ability to import from a watch folder, which is most digital asset management tools will have that, then that will just automatically start importing in. So we'll set that up here. We'll show how that works. Let's see here. So in fact, let's just fire this up here. Comments there. We'll take a look at the comments more later. So the app is called Lumix Tether, I think. Yeah, Lumix Tether. Launch that guy up. It's a really simple interface. Honestly, it'll take you about a minute to figure out how to use. The cable that comes with your GH5 is quite short, so this isn't really a realistic tethering for real-world use. It's USB-C on the camera, so you need USB-C on one end, and then the other end just depends on what you've got. If you've got the latest MacBook Pro with USB-C, awesome. That's going to give you the fastest connection. I don't, so I'm just got regular old USB, what is that, B or A or I don't know, L, whatever the heck it's called. So I'm just going to plug that is the wrong cable. That is not the USB-C cable. I do have one, because I was using it the other day. Hopefully it didn't get left behind somewhere. That's not it. If anybody's wondering why this is so disorganized, it's because I just walked in here like 20 minutes ago. But that's okay. Just gotta find the right cable. All right, guys, what did you do with my USB-C cable? It better be here somewhere. What's that? That's where it was supposed to be, but no, that's not it. Well, if you've got a longer USB-C, yeah, to regular USB A or B, whatever this thing is called, my cable has to be here. Oh, wait. I think I ended up shoving it in here as I was running out the door somewhere, and it's just loose. Yes. Got it. Okay. So it's a little bit longer than the cable that I had up there, but still not really realistic for a real tethered shooting situation. This cable that's not what they shipped it in there for, so it's just, but it does work for that. Okay. So you can see it up on screen here. Let's plug this in. I'll take this ND off of my lens here. This, by the way, is the 8-18 lens. I've been working with this for a little while now for this trip. I love it. This is a fun lens.
I think you should turn the table and TV slightly this way.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Well, it just moves. Oh, it's locked. No, it's not locked. There you go. That work? Try not to drop anything. Knock a glass of water over my laptop, none of that sort of thing. Is that better?
Yeah.
Looks good? Okay. Well, it's still coming up there. Okay, so I can't show you the back of this and this at the same time, but a little thing has popped up on here saying, as soon as I plugged in the USB mode, PC storage, PC tether, or picked bridge PTP, which I don't know what anybody uses that for. But obviously it says tether. That sounds pretty obvious. So we hit tether. The software immediately connects. And look at that. We are now viewing a live feed of what the camera sees. So let me just set this down and take a look at the options that we have on here. We obviously do not need a microphone on the camera for tethered photography. I should probably put the camera into a photography mode. All right, so this preview window, this live view, you do not have to have. We can get rid of that and just work off of this little interface here. So depending on what you're doing, if you're not needing to see the live view, there's no reason to have it up. You can just hide that away. You don't have to have it there. But of course, that can be convenient to have. So we open that up, and this window is resizable, and you can position it wherever you like. This goes through the shooting modes, basically everything that's on the camera, and as far as your image quality, whether you're shooting RAW or JPEG or whatever, you can do under and over exposure from here, and you can see as I adjust it, you can see what how the preview is changing on there. ISO, I can go from auto to a manual ISO and change that to whatever I like on there. Some things you can't change through the software. If it's a physical switch on the camera, then you have to still hit the physical switch. Right? So you can't, for example, the drive mode on here, that's something that's a physical switch on top of the camera, so I have to actually rotate it. So if I rotate the dial, you see that live drive mode just changed on there, and if I rotate the dial on the camera again, it goes back. So if it's a physical control on the camera, you still have to physically control it on the camera. Let's see here. So we got all these things set. Manual focus is on right now, and you can do, which is pretty cool, so I won't focus quite that close, but I can click on the scene in the preview, and the camera will focus on whatever I've clicked on. So if I want to focus on the back of the room, you know, on the microphone that's here, on this thing on the table. So whatever you're clicking on, that's where it's going to focus. That's an autofocus. And you can go into manual focus as well. So let's see, get some kind of good, I guess this table will work for this. So you can see all the text on the table here. Let me switch this over to manual focus. Actually, it already is. There we go. It's on manual focus. Oh, and by the way, things like focus peaking and zebras, those are controlled in the camera as well. So if I turn on, let's see here, let me go in my camera and turn on focus peaking. Well, there's zebras at 75. You can see now the zebras showing up there as well. I'll set my zebras to 95, and I'll turn on focus peaking at low, and so you can see the little red lines on here of what's supposedly in focus. Now from here, if I want to go manual focus adjusting, I've got these really fine controls here, so I can change the camera setting, the camera focus. So it really depends on whether you do this or not, really depends on what you're using your tethered shooting for. In some situations, you want completely hands off the camera. You're doing like maybe some kind of macro photography or product photography where you want the camera set up in this perfect situation. You're over here controlling it from the computer. The other option would be you're at the camera shooting, and you're shooting maybe a fashion thing, and people are moving around and you're moving around, and you just want the pictures dumping into the computer. So you don't need all this manual focus control and stuff because you're just doing everything from the camera. It can go either way. It just depends on what you're shooting, which way you're going to use it. But if you do want a manual focus on here, you can even do this zoom in scale. You can zoom way in. You can see there, and the focus peaking on is obviously quite vibrant. I'm going to turn that off. So then we could go in here and I could say manual focus adjust, and you can see there as it goes out of focus, I can click this to really carefully bring it into focus. So we can get that really nice, precise focus on there. Let's see, aspect ratio, preview, you can turn on and off all kinds of things, but ultimately at the end of the day, click the button and it takes a picture, or click the button here and it's going to take the picture. So either way, you can do it from the software or from the camera. Now the big question, of course, is where the picture's going. So if we go into the settings, you can choose in here where these are going to go. So like here it says storage location, SD card only, SD card and PC, or PC only. So SD card and PC is clearly a smarter way to go because you got a backup. You know, immediately your pictures are going to the card and your computer, so you got both copies. If the work isn't that critical, if it's maybe you're doing product photography and if for some reason the file isn't there, it gets corrupted or anything, you just shoot it again. Then may as well just shoot it to the PC. There's no point in having that. But if you ever want a backup, or if you're shooting something that's live, then it's probably smarter to go to the card and to the PC. I don't actually know. I haven't tested yet if there's any performance difference. There shouldn't be, because the camera's got plenty of bandwidth to write to the card and output to the USB at the same time. But I haven't tested that, so I could be wrong on that. It might be faster if you just do one. But we're going to leave it at card plus PC. Import folder. So I'm going to choose a new folder. So the terminology is a little bit odd in here, but whatever. We'll go to the desktop. Let's do tether, I can spell, tether 3. Create that folder. You can say automatically create subfolders by date. You can have that on or off. However, if you're using an app like Lightroom to automatically watch a folder and import from there, it will not look into subfolders. So you don't want to create the subfolders, or Lightroom's not going to see the pictures. That's just going to depend on what app that you're using. And in this case, I'm just going to leave it off because the pictures are only going to live in that Tether 3 folder for a matter of seconds before Lightroom grabs them and pulls them into its own system and organizes it the way that I tell Lightroom to organize it. So there's no point here in doing the subfolder, so I'll just leave that off. I can rename the files here. Like you can see here, I've called it a Panasonic project. And it's a start number. Well, it was at 1 when I first started playing with it. Again, that's fine. I can do that. I can name the files here. Or in my situation, I would be importing them into Lightroom, and Lightroom can rename them as well. So I may as well just have Lightroom rename them. Again, it just doesn't. It's up to your workflow. If I'm shooting RAW plus JPEG, what do I want to transfer? The RAW and the JPEG, or the JPEG only? We're going to say the RAW only, and just make sure that we're shooting RAW. Automatically display review image, so it can pop up on screen for you from the Lumix app as soon as you shoot it, but then you have to close it. It's kind of a it's probably not the best way to review the pictures. I think, actually I shouldn't say that, it might automatically replace the one that's there. But I want to preview it in Lightroom because I want to see Lightroom's raw processing, not the Finder's raw processing, any looks that I'm doing. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just leave that off. And that should be about it. So save that. So now, let me open the folder that I created, Tether 3, here we go. So there's that empty folder. And now when I take a picture, again, whether I'm taking it from the camera or from the software, if I set everything up properly, it should just show up there. It should show up immediately. It was showing up immediately. What did I do wrong? Let's see here. Never do, oh, look, it's set to Tether 2 still. Excellent. Let's put it to the right folder. Okay, now it's at the right folder. I don't know why that happened. And shoot it again. Boom. In almost instant. Look at how fast that was. Click. It's there. You see it's loading. Done. It's a matter of less than a couple seconds, and that file is now available to whatever software I'm going to use to capture, to import it. Okay, so that's set up. So now I'm going to delete these because Lightroom is, when you set up a watch folder in Lightroom, it requires that folder be empty when you first set it up. I don't know why, but it does. Maybe so that it doesn't suddenly start importing 1,000 photos. I don't know, but that's the way it is. So here's Lightroom. Obviously, people using different software. I'm just going to do this with Lightroom. There's this option here called Auto Import. I'll go to Auto Import Settings. Here's the settings, and you can see their watch folder. It was watching Tether 2, but let's change that to Tether 3 that I just set up. Now, if this was not empty, it would actually give me a warning saying, hey, this has to be empty, and it wouldn't let me choose it, but it will because it was. And then move to. So you have this destination. Now, this is Lightroom, right? So this destination, it's going to pull the pictures out of that folder and put them wherever you want it to. Lightroom, for some reason, it doesn't let you just leave it there. I'm not quite sure why, but it has to move them, but it's going to be instant, it's moving, and it's not copying it. That said, I don't know, because I haven't tried this in Lightroom. If you set it to an external drive, it probably would copy it and not move it. So you'd have another backup. You'd have to try that. I don't know. But it's going to go to this folder called, in my pictures folder, from Tethered. I'll just leave it there. And subfolder, let's just call it from, whatever. Let's call this ImageONE, since that's where we are. ImageONE. Okay, so there's that folder. So now here's my file naming. How do I want to rename them? I've got my own custom naming that I've set up for Lightroom. This is how when I import all my pictures, it's my name, shoot name, and a custom. So I'm going to go in here and put in custom text, and we're just going to call this, well, Panasonic Tether. I'll leave it at that. That's fine. Develop settings if I want to apply a preset on import. Again, this is all just Lightroom. What metadata do I want to put on, and so on. What previews. We'll just click OK there. And now let's rearrange things so we can kind of see everything at once. And we don't need this. What we really want is this window up. Okay, so we should be able to see everything here. I think that's right. There we go. So I'm going to click on here to take a picture. You hear it click. It shows up on the folder there. And now Lightroom will take a few seconds for it to see that and pull it in. But if everything's set up right, and honestly, the first time I did this with Lightroom, Lightroom didn't behave properly. I just reset everything again, and it looks like it's doing it again. I don't know. This is not a Panasonic problem. This is obviously Lightroom. Yeah, so this did this exact thing. Oh, you know what? I don't think I enabled it. Oh, there you go. I haven't actually enabled it. Enable auto import. That's important. So let's try that again. Do that. Let's just get rid of that picture and try again. Click. Picture's in there. Is Lightroom. There it goes. And there it goes into Lightroom. And now I'm ready to go and start working on the picture in Lightroom, or someone can be reviewing it or whatever. So again, I could be here shooting, focus on my subject, take the picture. That's obviously a gorgeous, fabulous picture. Takes that, comes in, and you'll see it goes into there. It gets imported here, and now it's moved, so this folder should always be empty. Now, if we shoot a lot, actually I haven't tried this yet. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I shot a bunch of pictures there. If you're doing some rapid fire thing, ideally, Lightroom's going to start pulling them in. I don't know if it does them one at a time or if it's going to wait for it to write. I just don't know how Lightroom actually does this. Looks like it's waiting. Capture One might be a better option than Lightroom for tethering, because Capture One is definitely a kind of de facto standard for tethered shooting. So it might be a better option, but obviously it works in Lightroom. So there you go. And that's pretty much all there is to it. There is one more thing that's really cool that, yeah, I can show this to you. Let's just get out of Lightroom. I don't need this anymore. I'm going to turn off the tethering here. Disable the auto import, close this down. If you're shooting in 6K photo mode, Now, as you might be aware if you've played with it before, 6K photo mode is shooting to a HEVC file. HEVC is an H.265 file, and computers have traditionally not handled that very well. Now, the new Mac OS High Sierra apparently has built-in support for it. I have not yet installed it to see how well it works, but the challenge with extracting a frame from a 6K photo file has been that you had to use some kind of third-party software on your computer to extract it out. You couldn't do it natively in the operating system. You couldn't even view the files in Final Cut or in Premiere. It was kind of a pain. Again, hopefully High Sierra is fixing all this. It's supposed to. I haven't played with it yet personally. But if you're shooting tethered, what's really cool is you can have this so that your 5K, or I mean your 6K photo file is automatically broken out into a series of JPEGs on the computer when you shoot it. So as soon as you're done shooting, it just extracts all the JPEGs, and now you've got 100 still pictures instead of one video file that you have to go and extract those 100 still pictures from, which is pretty slick. So I've only done this once, but let me see if I can get this going right. So I'm on 6K photo mode now. Let's go back into here and see if there's anything I need to set differently. I don't think there is actually. Settings, it doesn't actually save anything different. So let's just try this. Do this. I'm going to shoot 6K photo just for a couple seconds. Turn that off, and it says please. It's saying please wait on there. Oh, here we go. All right, you get this little dialog. Okay, so operation from a PC cannot be performed during transfer. Basically, I can't. When this is happening, once I click OK, I can't do anything else with the app. Would you like to import it? Number of photos transferred 75. Importing may take some time to complete. Yada yada. So I hit yes. Gives me a little dialog on there, and you see the picture starting to show up. And so now it's automatically extracting out all of those JPEGs. And of course, if Lightroom was still doing its tethering, then it would be watch foldering, then it would be pulling those in as well. So this could be useful for a lot of different things. If you're doing focus stacking and you're using it as the focus rack, a focus transition feature, you could use that, pull in, and now you've got your focus stacked pictures all separated, ready to go in Lightroom, or just leave them in the watch folder, take them into Photoshop. It just depends on your workflow. But it's pretty cool that it does this. It can, obviously this takes time to happen, but this is way faster than anything that we've had before, just because working with these H.265 files has been a little bit challenging in the past. So this is by far the best workflow that we have today for working with H.265 6K photo files, which is pretty awesome. So that's basically that. There's obviously a little bit more to it, but it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You get some nice readouts on here. You can trigger video recording as well. This is, I think it's worth pointing out, this is designed for still photography. While you can trigger video and I guess it transfers the video file over when it's done, that's not what it's designed for. This is designed for still photographers, so something to keep in mind when you're playing with it. Cool. Any questions about? Hey, chat room, if you guys got any questions about tethering, I'm going to pull up your questions in here and see if there's anything, pull up the chat, see if there's anything happening in here. Oh, good, all kinds of questions. Let's go back to the beginning here. See what's happening. So as always, guys, when you're watching the show, if you have a question for me you want answered, make sure you type @PhotoJoseph in front of the question. That way I can be sure to see it and I don't have to read everything on there if you guys are just saying hi and chit-chatting about something else. And if you've already typed a question and you didn't do that, retype your question, put that @PhotoJoseph in front of it. Make sure you spell @PhotoJoseph right. If you don't, then it doesn't show up on my screen. Burns says, tethering on PC is quite interesting. It sure opens up new ways for studio shooting when a mobile device isn't feasible. And it's faster than shooting with a mobile device. We still have the ability to wirelessly tether using an iPhone or Android phone or iPad, whatever. But this is faster. As you saw, the data transfer is very quick. And this isn't even USB-C to USB-C. I think that should be even faster. I don't see why it wouldn't be. That would be logical for sure. Let's see. Jake's asking, yes, I am streaming with the video today. Jake, how is it looking? Is it looking awesome? Burnstech says, oh wow, PC tethering live view isn't that smooth for me. Well, that's interesting. I wonder why. Because I wonder if it's are you working with an older machine? But this is not that new. I always forget what this is. My Mac is a 2014 model. Look at how old this thing is. Retina 15-inch, mid-2014. Looks good to me. So there you go. Alrighty. Marvin's asking, can you set up a time lapse and then start it from the app? I don't know. I don't recall seeing any time lapse options in here, but let's see. Well, if I put the camera in time lapse mode, let's see. Okay, camera's in time lapse. I'm not seeing any additional controls for it. I'm not seeing anything specific to time lapse, but keep in mind you don't need the computer to set up a timed time lapse. Right, we can do that entirely from, let's see, I guess we're done with that. Let me take this, plug into here so you can just see this up on the screen there. Cool. So, oh, you got a remote for this thing? You can mute it. We got to mute the big TV. Give us a moment here. You can set up all the time-lapse functions, including a start time, in the camera directly. You don't need external anything for that.
Which mode do you put it in?
For time-lapse, it is the last one on the dial. That's the time-lapse mode.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's try that again. Plug that back in. There we go. Okay. So, make sure I'm not lying to you about the, yeah, it's the last one's the time lapse. Okay. So you see on here, let me set this down so it's not driving people nuts.
2 bars. 2 bars on the left.
We're down to 2. Okay. Thank you for checking. Let's see. Up here, you see that little thing, it has a little clock on it in 20. And this is actually a new feature in the GH5 version 2 update. Let me turn off the zebras here. The ability to control more of the time lapse from this screen without having to dig into the menus. It used to be to change the time lapse settings, you had to dig into the menus. Now you can just touch on this with version 2. So I tap on that little guy, it opens up the time lapse setups. So I can choose here between time lapse and stop motion. I want to do time lapse. Start time, so this is it. I can say start time now, or I can set this to sometime in the future, up to 24 hours in the future. So the example that I always give on this is if you want to do a time lapse of the sunrise, but you don't want to get up to start it, you can set everything up, walk away, go to bed, and this will kick off at the appropriate time and start shooting. So anyway, so we go, I'll say now on there. There's my start time, and then your shooting interval, how often you want it to shoot, every 3 seconds, every 1 second, whatever you set that, and how many images do you want it to do. Hit set. And we are, let's see here, sit there, yep, we're ready to go.
So I gotta
Go ahead, yeah, please.
When you set it up, and you know how like you set it up to like sleep after like a minute?
Right.
Will it kick back on?
Yeah, so the question is, for those watching live, the question is if you set it up and the camera goes to sleep, will it wake itself up? And yes, it does. It wakes itself up. The only thing you have to be concerned with is if your time lapse is longer than your battery is going to last. So if you're doing a really long time lapse, your options are to either use the battery grip that we have on that camera there, the GH5, which allows you to have 2 batteries, or the safer, better, easier, and frankly cheaper way is to get an AC adapter for your camera. And then you just plug the camera into the wall and it'll never run out of juice because it's running off the wall. And you can buy third-party AC adapter for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. So yeah, it's a great investment if you're ever doing, use that for time lapse. If you're ever doing a long form video, I should have this camera plugged into it right now, but I don't because I had to ship all my AC adapters somewhere else. But it's a phenomenal thing to have in your kit. It's super cheap and it just allows you to have no concerns whatsoever about battery life if you're shooting somewhere where you've got power anywhere nearby. Yeah, really good option. Okay, so anyway, so that's the time lapse thing there. So you don't need the software to do the time lapse is what that whole thing was all about. I'll just go back into the comments here. ImageONE is saying, welcome to ImageONE. Was that you? Thanks, Mark. Love you, brother. All right, Burns Tech. I built this PC with the latest high-end hardware, so I'm not sure why it was stuttering with live view. Interesting, Burns. Maybe, obviously, I only have a Mac, so I've never tested this on a PC. I don't know if the performance is for some reason lower on a PC. I would hope not, but I can only show you what I've tried. And this just came out. This is the only machine I've tried it on. I haven't tried it on my GH5 at home. The first time I tried this was in the airport, so I don't, yeah, unfortunately I don't have a better answer for you. Sean, well, hello, Sean Robinson, saying the USB-A side of the included cable is USB 3 spec. Oh, okay, so there shouldn't be an appreciate difference between it and USB-C. Oh, okay, thank you, Sean, for clarifying that. So what Sean is saying is that this cable that comes with the camera, it's USB 3, this is USB-C, which is also USB 3, that's right, and then this end is USB 3, and my camera is USB 3, so we are getting performance, pretty much the equivalent performance of what we would have if it was USB-C on both ends. Okay, very good to know. Thank you, Sean, I appreciate that. And I don't know how much faster it would get, because that, I mean, frankly, it was like almost instant. That's pretty, and that was the raw file. That wasn't bringing in a JPEG, that was bringing a raw file. That's pretty impressive. I have seen way, way slower implementations of that in the past I used to shoot Canon. Canon was definitely slower on that, so this is awesome. Burns says Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are disabled on the camera when USB tethering is connected. You just try to do both. Okay, well that makes sense. ImageONE is asking, can you cover the vlog and new firmware update and what that can do for the GH5? Oh, well that's what we're doing. Was that you? That's what we're doing. Get out of here. Get. Ray Your Day says, tried the Lexar 2000 UHS-2 with the vlog 400 megabit and it stops after 10 seconds, saying it's too slow. Now I need Panasonic V90 for 350 pounds. Okay, so, all right. This is a big topic that I need to have. I need to do this show. I can't get into it right now, partially because I don't have an easy, like canned 5-minute or even 1-minute response for you. The whole memory card and what you need to do the full-on 400 megabit is definitely a complicated story. The official word from Panasonic is you need a V90 rated card, and Panasonic, as far as I know, are the only ones that have a card that's called V90, that actually has that V90 designation.
Carry it here,
And you do carry it here, okay. And they carry them in ImageONE, so if you need one, call ImageONE. However, there are specs that, were they tested and rated for V90, would pass that, and they are on cards, like I know the SanDisk has some. Where's my notes? I've got 3 manufacturers in here. Excuse me. Let me pull this up real quick. Oh, I already have this up. SanDisk, Delkin, and ProMaster all make cards that should work. Now, one of the complexities, and this is all I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to do more homework, and I will do a proper photo moment show just about this soon. But one of the things that I have understood is that even with cards that have the right ratings on it, there have been generational changes in those cards, and some of the older ones will not actually do what it says on the box. So you need to have the latest cards from all of these manufacturers to make sure that you are actually getting that spec. That's about where I'm going to end it for now. I will do more, answer more questions on that, and do a better response to that soon, but that's pretty much what I've got for you right now. Okay. All right. That's that on there. Right, let's move on to something else. Let's see what are we going to cover next. Okay, so the next section, and again, I'm just looking through the list that is on my website. If you go to PhotoJoseph.com and scroll down till you see the GH5 version 2 firmware update release notes, it has all the different changes that are in there, and that's what I'm looking at right now, if you wanted to follow along. So improved autofocus performance. I can't really demo all of these things, but in general, autofocus is improved, tracking focus is improved. This is cool. A custom autofocus area can be continuously displayed in multi-AF and custom multi-AF. All right, so let me do that here. All right, so I'm going to go into still mode. Probably should not have this bouncing around quite so much here for you, but and let's see here. I'm going to go to multi-mode. All right, so now you see this thing on the screen. We're seeing there in the middle the little indicators of where it's going to focus. So if I go in and I set up a custom multi, and let's choose like a horizontal band, we see that horizontal band in there. So we get to see where the camera is going to try and focus. This is something you have to turn on. It's not on by default. And I believe, let's see, oh boy, monitor display, that might be it. Guideline, video guideline. Monitor display info. What I should have done was like taken notes on where everything was in here, and I didn't. Autofocus area display, here we go. So I've just turned that off. It's under the focus/release shutter settings. AF area display, I've just turned it off, and you can see the grid is gone. Turn that back on, and there's the grid. So there's that option. So that's pretty cool. That's a new feature. The other one, let's go into this custom multi and choose a different pattern. Let's choose this kind of center pattern on here. The other function, go back into the menu, is right above that. It says loop movement focus frame. So let me turn it off because that's the default. And now you can see my focus point moving, and it gets to the edge, and it basically hits a wall and stops. All right, so if you were over here and then you wanted to move it to the other side, you'd have to go all the way over, which obviously takes time. Now there's a function where you can say loop movement focus frame, turn that on, and now when I go to the edge, it's like a video game. It just keeps going and going and going, loops around. So that's pretty slick. You have that capability now as well. That's another new feature in there. All right, next up. Okay, improve performance in 6K and 4K photos. So once you've stopped shooting, stopped recording a 6K or 4K photo, the time until you can start shooting again is faster. It's less time. So it says shortened to less than half the time. That time will depend on how big that file was in the first place, how long you're shooting for, but that delay has now been reduced by more than half, so that's fantastic. Loop recording is available in 6K photo mode. Loop recording allows you to continuously record without saving the file, so if you wanted to just point the camera at something where something might be happening, but you don't know when it's going to happen, but also once it happens, it's too late to start recording. This will just continuously record, and then once you see the thing that you wanted to keep, it's already recorded that and kept it, and you hit a button and you get to save that footage. This will definitely chew through your battery, so this is a great use for that AC power adapter to have something like that on there. All right, we've talked about the different shooting modes, the all intro modes, but I'll just go briefly through those. There's nothing really to demo in here except, well, here, I can just do this. I'll pull it up on the screen so you can see them. Go into the menu, but I'm going to put it into Cinema Creative Movie mode here. There we go. And wait for that to resync. Here we go. All right, so now, come back here. We go here, we go to the record quality, and you'll see a bunch more options. So Cinema 4K, there's a couple new ones, but let's just go to 4K or UHD. So you got your 8-bit, 150 megabit 60p, which is, I believe that's the one we had before. But then you go to the next one, you've got 4K all intra. So you've got 422 10-bit all intra frames. We're not going to go into the difference between all intra and not all intra now, but suffice it to say, it's a much higher quality image, and it's 400 megabit. So you got the extreme bandwidth. Really, it's much less compressed, but you do have to have the appropriate cards for that. The V90, V60 cards, and again, that's a discussion for another day. But you have all these new all intra 400 megabit modes. So you see here when you're in 8-bit, it's long GOP, and then when I go to 10-bit all intra 422. So it's a big difference. 420 8-bit long GOP versus 422 10-bit all intra, and that's pretty awesome. That's a huge thing. So just to tell you a story, the other day I was chatting with someone who was buying a GH5 for a film shoot, an actual movie shoot, and they said when they did the feature comparison of what they needed for this shoot, their choices were to either buy a Lumix GH5 in the new version 2 firmware update or buy an Alexa. I was like, sweet. How many GH5s can you get for the price of an Alexa? That's pretty good. So, yeah. So that's fantastic. I loved hearing that. This update is great. This is a big one. This is a big deal. Okay, and so just worth pointing out too, shooting at 400 megabit all intra, this is not for normal shooting. This is not how you need to shoot your vlog. This is not how you need to shoot product demo videos unless you're going to do some pretty extreme stuff to the footage. This is really designed for the cinematographers, for the movie making people. It's there, you can obviously use it, you're more than welcome to, but most average people don't need that. Just to say, don't feel like just because it's there now you have to go out and buy all these new cards because you have to shoot at 400 megabit. You don't. Right? If your workflow doesn't demand this, don't bother. It requires a faster computer to process it. Our guest here had asked if his laptop, aka my laptop, would handle this. I haven't even tried yet, so I don't have an answer to that either. But it works. You know, it's the capability is there if you need it. All right, HDR video recording. Again, something I can't really show here. This is not an HDR TV, is it?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so. Oh, it's yeah, I don't think this is. It is a Panasonic TV, though. Excellent, good choice. It's very pretty.
All of our 4K TVs, actually.
Oh, yeah? All your 4K TVs are Panasonic. Love it. Can I take this one home with me? This is bigger than mine. No, I can't. Yeah, it's your demo TV. Damn. It wouldn't fit in the overhead compartment anyway. Okay, so, again, this is a huge topic with tons and tons of details. I'm not going to go into everything right now, and if I tried, I'd probably get some things wrong because this is all still partially new to me as well. But the GH5 with the version 2 upgrade allows you to shoot in something called HLG, or hybrid log gamma, which is essentially an HDR mode. Now, you can shoot, even without version 2, if you've got the Vlog-L update, the Vlog-L add-on, I should say, you can shoot in log, bring that into an app like DaVinci Resolve, and you can grade it so that you do have high dynamic range. You do have an HDR image. You can then render out from that into HDR10, which you can put into movies or whatever you're going to do, and you get a full HDR workflow. So that HDR workflow already exists, but it requires the Vlog-L update, and it requires knowing how to color and resolve and a ton of computing power and on and on. HLG, hybrid log gamma, will allow you to get a HDR image straight out of the camera without having to do any other editing at all. You can shoot in hybrid log gamma, take your file off the computer, not edit it, and just upload it to YouTube, and YouTube supports the HLG format. So if you have an HDR television, You can't see this on your regular computer screen. You can't see it just loading up YouTube on your Mac. You have to view it on an HDR TV, and you have to have some type of HDR capable player. So like a Chromecast Ultra, for example, would do this. That will then allow you to go to that YouTube page and pull up that same video, and you'll get to actually see it in HDR. Now, before this trip, I bought a Samsung Tab 3 because that is an HDR screen, and I returned it because it did not look like HDR. All it looked like was a super saturated, super high contrast screen. It's just the quality is not there. So I have yet to actually see this on a true HDR TV because I don't own one, and short of walking into a Best Buy with a Chromecast Ultra, plugging it in when no one's looking and seeing what's happening, I don't really have a way to see it. But this is very much a future concept, right? HDR TVs are, of course, now being sold, but that's not the commonplace thing yet. But we're getting there, right? That's where we're moving towards. The new Apple TV does 4K and HDR, but even that is, at least as far as I know, what they announced, it's not supporting YouTube and HLG. It's supporting, if you're watching something off of the Apple Store, and that's going to be in Dolby HDR or HDR10, then you're going to get the HDR. Again, assuming you have the HDR TV. But what this is set up for to shoot straight out of the box is essentially uploading to YouTube. Now, if you want to shoot for proper cinema in HDR, then you want to shoot Vlog, bring it into Resolve, do a proper color grade there, and output it. But the option does exist right now, and you can take the HLG footage and edit it, but you need to edit it again in Resolve. Right to this point, at this point, it's the only thing that does that. Now, Final Cut is supposed to be getting an update within the next couple of weeks to go along with High Sierra. Maybe HLG will be introduced in there. We don't know because Apple never tells us what's coming, but that's a possibility. I would imagine Adobe is going to be hot on the heels here getting this out in Premiere, but right now, to my knowledge, today, Resolve is the only way to do this. And I also do know that when you render out HLG stuff from Resolve, it's slow. It takes a really long time to render. So the workflow exists in the camera. The rest of the industry hasn't really caught up with it. But again, it's kind of a thing that's in here. It's awesome that we have it. It's limited what we can do with it today, but we're future-proofed, which is fantastic. So there's a little bit about HDR recording. I don't have any anamorphic lenses here, but there's enhancements to anamorphic video recording. I'll let you guys just read the specs on that if you're somebody who needs that. Enhanced image body stabilization. So again, I'll just mention these. I'm not going to try and demo them, but you have this locked video mode for shooting handheld with a long lens specifically. If you're shooting handheld with a long lens, this new locked video IS is supposed to make that a lot better. And a new handshake correction mode specifically for anamorphic is in there. So if you're shooting handheld, especially with long lenses or with anamorphic lenses, there's some new image stabilization in here, which is going to be great for that. Correction of white balance setting, that was just a bug fix. Improved usability of time-lapse, we already talked about that. You can access the time-lapse interface from the main screen. Improved usability of the PowerSave LVF. So, PowerSave LVF can now be used during all standby and display options. Okay, so, I don't know if this is exactly what this is talking about, but this is an opportunity. Let me just tell you something that is this isn't a bug. It is a mistaken preset. Let's put it that way. The version 2 update shipped with a preset setting that was set to 1 second to turn off your display. And so if that happens, your display goes dark after a second, and you're going, oh, what just happened? So let me try and show. And this is getting addressed, and if you go to the version 2 update page right now, there's a big thing on the top that says, hey, this is happening, here's how you fix it. But if you've got the GH5 version 2 update, and you switch into, let me see if I can, did I enable it? Oh, I've already disabled it here. Okay, let me find the setting here, and I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to show you how to disable it so this isn't even an issue. It is in economy to start. Okay, so in economy, in the economy settings, so again, you're in the main gear menu, go to economy, scroll down to PowerSave LVF shooting. There is, by default, this was set to 1 second with the display set to only monitor info. So you know there's a mode on here where as you're cycling through the display views, normally you see your image with an overlay on top of it. There's a mode where you only see data, you don't see the image at all. This specifically, this monitor info option, is specifically to that. So if you had rotated cycle through to that monitor info only display and taken your hand off the camera for a second, the screen goes dark. and then none of the buttons do anything except the shutter button will wake it up again. You just push halfway and it'll wake it up again. But I think what happens is a lot of people are freaking out because, for understandable reasons, there's something, their thing went dark, the camera's not responding, and if they didn't happen to touch the shutter, they think, well, what happened to my camera? So this is how it comes default out of the version 2 firmware update. Now there's another thing you can do is disable that screen entirely, which I have disabled, and so that way it's never an issue. But let me find it and turn it back on. And I just want you guys to be aware so you can, if you're running into this, you know exactly how to fix it. Oh boy, where is that? Maybe it's under monitor display. Let's see. It's video guideline. Nope. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Okay. So we are in custom wrench menu, monitor display, monitor info display. It's kind of a misleading name because why would you turn this off? Of course you want monitor info to be displayed. It's not what it means. Let me turn this back on. And what it means is I have a view where on the camera, if you can see that here, on the camera, all I'm seeing is this display. The image that you're seeing in the background, that's only because of the HDMI. This is all that I'm getting here. So this mode, if this goes on, by default, after 1 second, it's going to time out. No, it's not doing it now because it's not plugged into the HDMI, or because it's plugged into the HDMI. But your choices here are, if you want to use this mode, if you use this, and by the way, the reason you would use this is really primarily if you are shooting like this, you've got a HDMI cable out to another, to a recorder. So I'm looking at my image on a big screen. All I care about using this screen for is info about the shot, which is great, right? I don't need to see my picture here. I got my picture here. I just need to see info about the camera settings. That's here. That's why you would use this. But if you don't need this, you can turn it off entirely, which is what I had done here. So I'm going to go back into the menu, monitor info display. If you don't want that, you can just turn it off. If you do want that, then make sure that you go into the economy settings, scroll down to the power save LVF shooting, and you can set the timing here to either 10 seconds if you want it, or just turn it off so it never goes off. Personally, the way that I have my economy settings set up, I leave this off, but then I set my full monitor and sleep mode to just 1 minute. The camera will wake up from sleep very quickly, and I would rather that I don't have to turn the camera off and on. If I stop shooting, I hang it on my belt or throw it over my shoulder, whatever, that the camera just goes to sleep. And I touch the shutter button, and within half a second, it's awake and ready to go. So, and that's usually can be accomplished in the time that it takes for me to pull this off of my belt pack or take it off my shoulder. I'm just in the habit of, when I grab my camera, I grab it like this, touch that shutter button halfway, so by the time the thing's up to my eye, it's awake. So this is how I shoot and am able to get a lot of battery life out of a single battery. So there you go. So there's that. So a quick little thing, if you've run into that, now you know why. All right. Wireless functions. Bluetooth remote control function can be used with the Image app. I haven't played with this yet. So the Image app, if you're on iOS or Android, has been updated. There's a new version of it that came out the same day that the firmware update did. So if you haven't played with it yet, be sure that you go check that out. And the idea with this is that you can use your phone. Actually, let me back up. The way it was before the version 2 update, you use your phone to connect via Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it would basically, if you let it do it, it'll hold the Bluetooth connection in the background, which is a very low energy connection, which then when you wanted to actually control the camera and enable Wi-Fi, it enabled it to grab that Wi-Fi connection and set it up a lot faster. If you didn't have the Bluetooth on, then it takes a lot longer to make that Wi-Fi connection. So with the Bluetooth in the background, it's just constantly connected. It's low energy Bluetooth. It's constantly connected there. When you say go Wi-Fi, it only takes a few seconds and you're connected to Wi-Fi. Awesome. Well, now you have a function where you can actually trigger the camera, and it doesn't do anything other than allow you to take a picture, but you can trigger the camera with just the Bluetooth connection. So you can use your phone as a wireless remote and be basically ready to go almost as quickly as just plugging in a hardwired cable. So if you want to set up the camera, run across the room and get a picture, boom, pull it out, the Bluetooth is already established. This is something you set up in advance, but it's already established. You click it and you go. So that's the idea behind it. Haven't played with it. I will do a whole show around it later, but yeah, there's that. And incidentally, for you folks out there watching live, you probably have seen by now I have a training called GH5training.com. Just go to GH5training.com. It's a full 5.5 hour long training course on the GH5. That was obviously done with the version 1 firmware. I will be making updates to that course for version 2 firmware that will come to current customers at no additional charge. So if you already own the course, Those videos you'll get for free once they're done. I will start working on those probably within the next couple of weeks. Obviously, I need to make sure that I've got everything down so I can sit down and record a few videos on it and get all the facts right, but that will be coming, so good to know. So yeah, head over to gh5training.com and grab a copy of that. If you are on ImageONE's mailing list, they have a secret coupon. They'll give you a little discount. But you got to be on their mailing list to get it. Now, I know that went out yesterday. If they sign up right now, you'll send out another mailing list later this week with that on there.
Yep.
There you go. So go, where did they sign up for your mailing list? ImageONE.com.
ImageONECamera.com.
ImageONECamera.com. Is it obvious big button on there? Let's just find it.
You scroll down, it says register.
Okay.
Yeah, you can show them.
Yeah, let's pull it up on here. Show where to do this.
You can purchase the GH5 online as well as other. We also do the virtual vlog, which you can purchase online.
Okay, so this is a really big deal, virtual vlog. So the vlog update, as you probably know, requires, for reasons that I can't quite understand, requires a physical card with a number on it, which you then go to your computer and you punch that number in. It's silly, but it's just, it is what it is. Normally, to buy the vlog update, you buy it from a store. They ship you this card with a number on it. The folks here at ImageONE Camera will open the box after you buy it, take a picture of it, and email that to you so you have the code. And then they'll still send you the card, or you still get the card, but you can now get your code immediately. So within, I don't know, 10 minutes of ordering it, of buying it, you can have it. And call up on the phone to do it. Don't do it online, because then, or just call, get that done, and they'll send you the thing, right? Easier than doing it online?
You gotta order it online.
They have to order it online?
You have to prepay online.
Oh, you have to prepay online.
You'll be followed up with an email.
Ignore what I just said. Call up, go online, prepay, order it, order the thing online, and then call them up and say, hey, take a picture of that, send it to me, and they'll do that. Does that sound better?
That sounds good.
I don't work here. I make this up as I go. All right, so let's go to ImageONE Camera, and let's see where to find this. Image page isn't working. Excellent.
It is. Your internet's just still loading. It's still loading.
Let's try it. Let's try. Maybe I just typed in it wrong. ImageONE Camera. We'll blame Chrome.
There you go.
All right. Need help? Start chat. Well, you can ask there how to sign up for it. Look at that GH5 on top. So scrolling down, somewhere down here, upcoming events. Hey, that's me. Look at that.
Yeah.
What's happening? Oh, there's me again. I'm everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
You can
famous.
search for vlog in the search bar.
No, I wanted the mailing list.
Oh,
That's what we're doing. I passed it?
Yeah.
Even more.
Scroll down.
Up or down?
Down.
Down.
Keep going that way. No, the other way.
The other way. That's up. We know what we're doing here. Super pro. Okay, back to the top. Where's the sign up for the mailing list?
Registered. Oh, it's at the bottom. Though.
You said it's at the bottom. How about a button? You need a button right here that says sign up for our mailing list.
I will put a button on there.
There you go. Mark's going to do that right now, because Mark's he's in control. He's going to put a button on there. Sign up for our mailing list.
It is on there, but I think it's at the bottom.
Okay, let's go down to the bottom.
Because I recently moved. Keep going.
Keep going.
Right there. Scroll up just a tad.
Just a tad.
More.
More.
Above the footer.
Register.
Bam, right there.
Register. There you go. Sign up with ImageONE. There you go. There's the button.
It was at the top. It got moved to the bottom.
He moved it to the bottom. He's going to put it back at the top, so it's easy to find. But this is what you're looking for. Register. Get on their mailing list. They will send out. Can you send out another one today for everybody who's watching right now who's like, oh, I want to buy that training.
Sure.
And I want that discount. Excellent. But you got to get on their. I'm not going to give it to you. You got to get on their mailing list to get that discount. Go do it right now, and then you'll get it. He's going to send that link out later today.
And if
Sweet.
you want to show them the vlog, you can search in the search bar, any of the search bars.
Okay, so let's go to the search bar. You want to figure out how to get vlog. We'll go in here. We'll go vlog and vlog, not vlog. Just vlog is a different than a vlog. If you're wondering, so log is. A lot of cameras have it, or Canon has it, Sony has it, and they all have a letter in front of it, like Sony's is S-Log, Canon I think is C-Log. The reason that Panasonic Lumix one is V-Log and not P-Log or L-Log is because it comes from the Vericam, which is the which is the Panasonic professional grade video cameras. So those are the Vericam cameras. The log on there is V-Log for Vericam. The log that you put on here is V-Log Lite, V-Log L, V-Log Lite, and that's the one that goes on the GH5. So now you know. Vlog, where's the one for Panasonic? Somewhere down here. Okay, somewhere in here. Sure about this? You're sure. We're into like, should I type V-log? Is that what that be there?
Just type vlog and hit back to the home button.
So we're gonna do it like vlog?
And just hold it. Don't do it. So we're still refining.
So we're still refining. If you can't find it, there's a little chat down here, and you can say, I can't find the update.
I would post it to your YouTube live, but it won't let me put links.
It will not until it's approved. Go ahead and post it.
Oh, okay.
And then
I put one already for the GH5.
Oh, okay, let me see. Oh, wait, I think I can approve it. Let's go to here. Maybe I can't. I can't. That's okay. They'll find it. Okay.
Oh, there. Yeah, type v-log and it does come up.
Type v. This guy. All right, one more try.
I'm still gonna put the link in.
You're still new to this internet thing, right?
Yeah, I'm still pretty fresh.
ImageONE Camera. Search our site. V-log. V-log. There. Nope, it went away.
Don't hit enter. But there it is. Scroll down. Right there. Scroll down. Right there.
There it is. Panasonic Lumix V-Log L function firmware upgrade kit. Virtual delivery. Voila. Whew. It's not that hard, really. It's just us. Okay. Wireless functions, let's see. Other improvements. Rating function using an FN button is available in playback mode. So this is cool. So I'll show you how that works, as I did set that up on mine. Plug the camera back in. Yeah. Let's go into stills mode here. So say I'm looking at pictures. There we go. Let's go into regular shooting mode. Okay, so I hit play. I'm looking at pictures. I have no idea what's going to show up on screen. No. Oh, you know what? This might not work with the HDMI out. Let's find out. Yeah. Doesn't work with the HDMI. Oh, no, it is working. Okay. You can see it up here. So I programmed my FN2 button to be a 3-star rating. So I pushed that, and it takes a while to show up out here. There you go. And it shows up on there, 3-star rating. So you can add ratings to your picture. So if you're going through your picture, oh, I like that one, 3-star. Oh, I like that one, 3-star. And then the idea is that that rating should come into whatever software you're using to load your pictures. So bring in Lightroom or whatever. I haven't tried that part yet. So I don't know I can't say for sure that it works that way, but that's what it's supposed to do. So it's cool that you can rate them that way. Allows you to, you know, once you import, you already know the ones that you liked when you're in the field. Ooh, this is a biggie. The following function can be assigned to FN buttons. This is huge. So if you, and I see there's a bunch of questions, we'll come to those as soon as I finish this last section here. I've talked about this before, and I have reprogrammed, and yes, for those who have the GH5 training, I provide a copy of my settings file. Version like 1.1 of that settings file is up on my site right now. If you go to gh5training.com, you can actually find a link to it as well. But I will be updating it because I've made some changes with the version 2 firmware update, and this just allows you to have the camera set up the way that I have it set up. Not to say that that's the best way for everybody, but I think a lot of people like having kind of that starting point. Anyway, I have now changed this so that when I push the up button, remember this command dial here? This is actually up, down, left, right as well. If I push up, see, is this going to work on, this may not work with the HDMI out. That would make a lot of sense, actually. Oh, we need to be in manual exposure mode. Okay, now let's try this again, plugged in. This allows me to turn constant preview on and off. Let me just show you how it works first, and then, there we go, constant preview on or off. So first let me explain what this is, and then I will actually show you what happens when you do it. By default, their standard view is that the exposure that you have set on your camera is what you see in the viewfinder and on the LCD on the back, right? So if you go, you know, at f2.8 at 60th of a second, whatever, you're going to see that. And if you take your over and under exposure dial, or if you're in manual mode and you are adjusting your exposure, making it too bright or too dark, you'll see that. You'll see the image get brighter or darker, which is fantastic, and that's usually what you want. However, if you're in a studio situation, shooting with studio strobes, not shooting with the Panasonic speed lights or whatever they're called, the little on-camera flashes, those don't apply here because the camera knows it's a light and it compensates for it automatically. But if you're shooting with, say, your Pro Photos or Broncolors, whatever, your lights on there, the camera has no idea how much light is going to be put out by those lights. That communication doesn't exist, so it doesn't know. Your exposure setting is going to be something like, let's say, f5.6 at 200th of a second at ISO 200. I'm in a studio indoors. Clearly, that exposure indoors without the strobes is going to give me a black picture. So if constant preview is turned on, when I look at my camera, all I see is a black picture. When I go to focus, what will happen is the screen will brighten up momentarily while it focuses, and then it'll go back to dark because you've told it to show you what the exposure is going to look like. The camera doesn't know that it's going to fire a flash, so it can't show you what the exposure is going to look like, so it shows you what it looks like at that setting. This is a common thing that I hear a lot from new mirrorless shooters who are in the studio for the first time, and this isn't just Lumix cameras, you're shooting Sony's or Olympus, whatever. They're going, I can't see anything in the studio until I push the button to focus, and then it goes dark again. You have to disable constant preview. When you disable that, then the camera will always show you a proper exposure, no matter what the exposure settings are set to, so that you can focus and compose. Right, so right now it is on. So constant preview is on. I'm in manual shutter mode. So as let's get out of auto ISO, that'd be handy. Sorry, so I'll go to, say, 400 ISO, and as I change my aperture, you see the image getting brighter or darker. As I change my shutter speed, it gets brighter or darker. So let's say I'm in a studio. Okay, well, I'm probably going to shoot at 200th of a second, and I'm probably going to shoot at 5.6, and ISO, let's go down to 200, and that's my image. So I'm going, well, I can't see anything. How am I possibly supposed to shoot? That's the exposure settings that I need. So now, the new function is, and this one, by the way, this is my request. This was my request. Push up on the dial there, and that's because that's where I've programmed it, but I push up on there and it brings up constant preview, and I turn that off, and now you see the image. And now watch the shutter speed down at the bottom, or wherever it's displaying on here. Yeah, down at the, oh here, it's way over here. See the shutter speed over here? As I change it, the image doesn't change because I've disabled constant preview. So if you're a studio shooter, you need to know where this is, and now it's programmable into a custom function button, which is huge, super huge. Because I'm always going back and forth between studio shooting and natural light shooting, and it was super annoying that I had to dig into the menus. So now I don't. Happy, happy me. There's other things you can set to function buttons now. 6K photo, 4K photo mode bulk saving, minimum shutter speed, raw processing. So that's if you're shooting raw and then you decide that you want to create a JPEG file to pull over to your phone. So if you just shoot raw and not raw plus JPEG, and then you go, ooh, I really want to share this picture right now, and you try to copy it over, it doesn't. It won't work. So because the raw file won't transfer wirelessly. So you have to make a JPEG. So you can go into the camera, and this you've always been able to do, go into the camera and open up the raw processing, open up that file, and then you can choose, oh, I want the color saturation, I want the contrast like this, and so you can create a JPEG from that raw file using any of the processing settings that are in the camera. What this is now telling you is that you can access that with a function button, just one button to access that if that's something you do often. So that's cool. Mic level adjustment can be assigned, destination slot, record playback switch can be assigned, and that's that. The display button can be locked. Okay. This is one worth looking at. So this was a common request, and as far as I know, as far as I can tell, this is the way to do this, and it's admittedly it's not as intuitive or easy as you would like it to be, and it might take me a minute to remember where all these functions are. But the display button on the back, that's the one that you push and it cycles through the different viewing modes. Okay, so that's something that we want to use, but a lot of people are hitting that accidentally, and it's kind of annoying them, so they want to lock it. So, let's see if I can find this. I'm trying to remember what this is called. Command dial something. I think it's actually under here. Give me a moment. I'm not going to talk while I do this because then I'll actually might find it. It's not there. Maybe operation. Aha, operation lock setting. There we go. Operation lock setting. Okay. By default, this is how it's loaded up. Cursor, joystick, touchscreen, display button. All these are on, that one is off. And this is how it's going to come out of the box. And you think, okay, operation lock setting. Well, how do I actually lock this? And if you're just like on the top of your head, the obvious thing would be, well, hold on, this is off, so shouldn't the display button be off? But it's not. So here's what this actually means. There is a function called operation lock that you can enable, which once you enable it, it locks whatever buttons here you've told it to lock. So right now I have full control. I have control of the touchscreen, I have control of the joystick, it's all here. The thing is that I have to assign that operation lock to a function button. It's a little weird, but I'm going to sacrifice FN2 for this right now. So I press and hold on FN2. Remember, if you want to assign your custom function button, the easiest way to do that is press and hold on the button for about 2 seconds, and it pops up, and you get your option to change what it does. So I have FN2 set to peaking, but we're going to change that now. Go back up to the top because I have no idea where this is. Set that to operation lock, there. So now FN2 is operation lock. I push that and it says operation lock. And now the display button doesn't work, the joystick doesn't work, the dial doesn't work. None of these things do anything anymore because I've told it to. So if I only wanted to lock the display button, then I would go, let's see, and I try and do something, it says operation lock, you can't do it. So I unlock it. Now let's go back in there. Operation lock setting. What I would do is probably turn off all of these because I want all these on. The display button is the only one that I want off. So now when I lock it, now when I hit the display button, nothing happens. It says operation lock. I think it could be a little better, but that's how it's set up right now. So I'm going to reassign this back to focus peaking, which was way down here. Should have remembered where that was because I use focus peaking all the time. Did I just pass it? Probably. Peaking. There we go. Sweet. Okay. So that's that. Whew. What else? The rest I think are just bug fixes. Yep, the rest are fix, bug fixes. So that's it. That's all the big highlights on there. There might be some other little things, but those are the big stuff that's in there. All right, quick take a look at the comments, and then we're going to kill this live stream. Let me scroll back up, and all kinds of comments coming up here. Let's plug this back in here so you guys can see the comments as we go, if you can actually read them from there. Let's see, we already did that. Burns says, I have to hand it to Panasonic. The mobile app and PC software are quite stable. I've used other brand camera apps with higher aggravation. Lower aggravation is good. Can we put that as a feature bullet list? Lower aggravation. Ralph says, use of SD memory cards with video speed class 60 or higher is recommended for 4K all intra. Operation is confirmed with Panasonic SD memory card with video speeds of class 90. So that's the official word, the official line that someone is copying, that Ralph has copy and pasted into here. Basically saying that V60 is recommended, V90 is confirmed that it works, but again, they're only confirming with their own. And this is not unusual. A manufacturer is they can't test with everything out there, so they'll say, we can confirm that it works with our cards. And if they don't make cards, then they might say, we can confirm that it works with this card. But then that's tantamount to endorsing a third-party product, which companies tend to try to avoid doing. So this way, it's nice and safe. Panasonic says, we confirm that it works with our cards. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work with other cards. It just means that that's what they're confirming it does work with. That's what that phrase is saying there. Ralph is also saying Lexar 1000X card use confirmed for all Intra 400. I'm assuming that means you've personally confirming it. That's awesome. Ray Your Day says formatting the Lexar card, and now it's working with it. Well, there you go. Reformat and the card worked. Excellent. See? That's all it took. Extender, can you show or link that belt strap? I have not seen such a thing. I will gladly show you the belt strap. This is my belt hook. So normally when I'm out being all vloggy style, because, you know, everyone wants to be Casey, we're going to do this. I'm going to put my mic on here. And I know this is far, I can do a close-up, why not? Let me see here. Let me get this set here. Ooh, there's like no light. Yeah, this is totally backlit, so this is not going to work. Nope, forget it. Go back wide. We're not going to do this. But I have done shows on this before. The product is called Spider Lite. L-I-T-E, the Spider Lite holster. I've done videos on this, so if you just search my channel for it. But this is it. It's a little plate with a post on the bottom, and then the belt clip that goes with it, and it just clips on your belt like that. That's all there is to it. This has a little lock on it, so it can go in, it stays in, and now it doesn't come out. I can press to release, lock it back in, it's locked, or I can hit the switch permanently so that now it's ready to go. I love this thing. Super, super cool product. Do you guys sell them here? Not sure about that one. If you can buy it from ImageONE Camera, do it. If you can't, sorry. I don't know if you saw this because he didn't write the name properly, but Espen is asking if you can send the vlog to Norway. Are you allowed to send the vlog international, or is it US only?
No, once it's purchased, it's virtual, so we can send it anywhere in the world.
Well, there you go. He can send it anywhere in the world, so just go on the website and purchase it. Excellent.
And if they have questions, they go to our live chat.
And if you have questions, you can go to the live chat. Super. Burns is looking forward to the updated GH5 training course, gh5training.com. Check it out. And Sean Robinson's, oh, you're telling me where to go to. I found it. See, I found it, Sean, but thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Sean is confirming HLG so far can be edited and mastered in Resolve Studio. Oh, thank you for pointing that out. Studio, the paid version. The free version doesn't support 10-bit or HLG, which is, you know, kind of fair. Resolve used to be like $100,000 for that whole thing, and now you can get it for free, but the free version doesn't do 10-bit. It does 4K 8-bit, which is kind of insane, but if you want to do 10-bit and or HLG, well, HLG is 10-bit, so if you want to do HLG, you need the paid version, Resolve Studio. Thank you for pointing that out, Sean. And you do need a strong PC for sure. Oh, good. Sean is also saying, FYI, the Lexar 1000X cards are still very temperamental. Some people have them working, some still don't. We cannot say that the Lexar cards will work consistently. All right, well, there you go. There's the word for you. Like I said, we have heard, we understand that sometimes card manufacturers do revisions of their cards, but they don't make a change to the packaging. It's the same specs, but it's like if it was manufactured after this date, then it's got this. Or before this, it's that. And so if you're not getting the performance out of the card, well, one of our users just reformatted and that started working. That's fantastic. But it may be that the card is a little bit older and it just isn't to that spec. So there's that. All right, guys. Well, thanks for the questions. If you have any other questions about the GH5 version 2 update, you can certainly post them in the comments here afterwards for anyone who's not watching live. The entire live chat here will disappear, unfortunately, once we end this stream. But if you have questions that either didn't get answers because I missed it, or you're not watching it live and you got them, put them in there. I'll do my best to get to them either via text on here or I will answer them on a future PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment show every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, although we're going to be switching that schedule a little bit. But for now, every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Do you have any other questions? No. Excellent. Well, I guess we're done. Super. That was fun. Thanks, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it.